Hey, so in this video, I want to show you how you can build your own outbound lead AI agent right inside of Lindy. And how this is going to work is simply, we're going to chat with our agent and we are going to give it some information about a new lead here. So I have the CEO of Vercel that I'm about to send to my Lindy, and I have a blank spreadsheet here. And I'm going to send off this request to my agent. And then in the background, it's going to be doing a couple of things. Number one, it's going to first update my spreadsheet with some information here, like the website, the name, the email, which is my email, his role. And then it's going to go out and search Google for his LinkedIn profile, update the spreadsheet with his profile URL. And then it's going to send an email, a cold email to Guillermo. It's really just my email address. And it's going to pitch him on my services and ask him if he's interested in helping him with my services. So this is a cold email that we just automated 100%. And we can see that our agent has now filled in the LinkedIn URL. And what we can do next is, let's say that Guillermo responds to this email by saying, "Hi, Mike. Yes, that sounds good. Let's set up a time to talk." And let's say Guillermo responds to my email. Now, my agent is sitting there waiting, okay? It's monitoring my replies, it's monitoring my inbox, and it's going to see if Guillermo responds. And if he does respond, what it should do is send me a message inside of my Slack channel and then also update my spreadsheet. So you can see here, my agent has read the email. It is now going to send me a message right inside of Slack. Okay, so right over here, Guillermo has responded positively and is interested in setting up a time to talk. You can see that just happened right now at this time. And then hopefully, if I go back to my spreadsheet, we will have the response from the lead. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to set this up step by step inside of Lindy. All right, so let's just look at what we're doing here with our AI agent inside of Lindy. So I do think Lindy is the best AI agent building platform. I do think it's better than Relevance AI. I'm not sponsored by them. That's just my honest opinion. I think it's a lot easier to use and much more intuitive. But anyway, let's look at our flow. And yeah, this is a very basic outbound lead agent if you're trying to build your first agent inside of Lindy. So we're going to start with our trigger, and this is going to be a message received, right? So you'll see when I demoed this at the beginning, all I had to do was send a chat message to my agent, right? So this is what triggered the entire thing. I just said, "Hey, new lead, here's the name, here's the website, here's the email." And it knew exactly what to do, okay? So it's going to start here with that trigger. Then we're going to use Google Sheets integration here to append a row. So I'm going to take the information that I provided and we are going to append that to our spreadsheet. So we've got the first and last name, we've got the email, we've got the lead info, so he's the CEO, and we've got the website, which is Vercel. So that's writing that information to Google Sheets. Then we're going to use an AI agent step here. And what I'm asking this agent to do is use the person name and company name from the previous step to retrieve their LinkedIn profile URL. So I'm just demonstrating here how our agent can use Google to go out and find this bit of information. So I didn't provide the LinkedIn URL in my message, but that's what I'm asking my agent to do in this step. And you can see for the skills here, I've given it the skill to search Google. So you can give your agents different skills inside of Lindy. We'll walk through this. And so I'm saying output only their LinkedIn profile URL, and I'm giving it an example. And I'm also giving it the ability to update a Google Sheet row, which is what we're going to do in the next step. So this is how it's updating the LinkedIn URL column. Then after that, it will send the email. So again, this is an outbound email agent. The idea is we want it to send emails on our behalf. So then we're going to go to the email node here inside of Lindy. I've got a little prompt here for the body in the subject. So it's basically going to take the information that it knows about our lead, which isn't that much, and it's going to use a little template here to draft the email, right? So this is the email that went out. And so it's saying, hey, I noticed Vercel is doing XYZ. At Lindy, we help companies like yours automate yada, yada, yada. To be open to a quick chat about how we could streamline the process. So this email came from this step right here with a little bit of prompting. Okay, next what we have is if the lead responds, we are doing a Slack message, right? So if the lead responds, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, the AI agent is going to send us a message inside of Slack. So that message is going to go into Slack. Then I'm using an AI agent here to extract the Slack message from the previous step so that it can update our last Google row, which is the lead response. So everything stays in the spreadsheet. So we get a little heads up notification in Slack, but in terms of tracking, we actually get the response sent back right into Google Sheets. So all of that is managed in this Lindy flow. So let's build this out step by step. All right, so let's build out this Lindy from scratch. So I'm inside of my dashboard here. I'm going to click on New Lindy, and we're going to build this one from scratch. And again, we need to start every Lindy, every AI agent, every automation with a trigger. So in the example I'm going with, we're just going to use the chat trigger, meaning that we're just going to chat with our agent. If you wanted to, you could have it update on a Google Sheet. You could have it update on a Slack message, a lot of different options. But again, for this video, we are just going to do a simple chat with Lindy trigger here. You can see Lindy just expanded their app integrations actually, but the chat with Lindy trigger is right over here. So let me just click on this. So chat with this Lindy when message received. All right, the next thing that we want to think about is how are we going to track these leads, track the responses. For simplicity purposes, I'm using Google Sheets, but Lindy integrates with a bunch of CRMs. If you want to use a CRM like Salesforce or HubSpot. But again, let's just go with a Google Sheet for this example. So in my example, I have a Google Sheet here with a couple of columns: website, first name, last name, email, lead info, LinkedIn URL, and the lead response. And now inside of our Lindy, what we need to do next is we want to perform an action, okay? So we want to append a new row to this Google Sheet. So I am going to search for append row, and let's see if this pops up. All right, so we can see inside of Google Sheets, there is a penned row. So let me select that. And now the next thing that I need to do is configure this, right? So if you need to hook up your Google account to Lindy if you haven't already done that yet. And once you're connected through Google, you will have, or Lindy will have access to all of your spreadsheets. So this is the Outbound Lead AI agent. I'm just going to select that here. Then I have to select my sheet. And then we have our row values, right? So you can see it's pulling in all of our, these are actually column headers, really. The website, the first name, the last name, the email, and we're being presented here with how do we want these to be filled in, okay? And so if you think about it, the message that we're sending our Lindy, the way I'm doing it, I'm just saying new lead, and I provide the name, I provide the email, I provide the company. Is the AI smart enough to know which bits of that information goes into the header, right? So if I give the name Guillermo Rausch, will it know to put Guillermo in the first name column and Rausch in the last name column? So I actually have this left as auto, meaning AI is going to figure this out. And there are options here where you can prompt the AI, I mean, you can give it a hint on what it should do, or you can set the value manually. But I'm going to leave all of these rows on auto. And then once we've done that, I'm going to go on and enable this so that I can rename it. And I'm going to call it Outbound YouTube. So now I've got a name, it's saved, and now we've got our second step all done. All right, so the next step, and this is just the way that I have this set up, is I want to have our AI agent go out and find the LinkedIn URL of this lead. So how do we set that up, right? Because we're not providing this in the message when I'm chatting with the agent, but we have it here as a column. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to add our first AI agent step. I'm going to hit the add step, and then we can see the enter AI agent is right over here. Now we need to prompt this agent to tell it what we want it to do, right? So I have a prompt on my clipboard here. And what I'm going to say is use the person name and company name from the previous step okay, which is the spreadsheet step, to retrieve their LinkedIn profile URL. And I'm saying only output their LinkedIn profile URL, and then I'm going to give it an example. Now, you can make your prompt much more specific if you want. I'm going to keep mine nice and short. But now, what do we need to do? We need to give our AI agent the skills or the tools to actually go out and do this, right? And you can see, let me click back in, under the skills section right over here, right? So add actions for this agent to access when needed. So I'm going to click on this plus button, and I'm going to search for Google search. All right, and you can see that we have this tool here, a tool that we can give our agent, which is searching the web using Google. So now our agent can actually take the company name, and search Google for their LinkedIn profile. And I'm going to give my agent another tool or another skill, and that is going to be to update a row in Google Sheets, right? So let me just search for the action here, which is going to be update row. And then I can see that right here under Google Sheets, because again, it's going to go out, it's going to find the LinkedIn profile of our lead, and then I'm asking it to come into our spreadsheet here and update column F with the LinkedIn URL. All right, now that we've given our agent the ability to update our row, we actually need to add that as a step. So I'm going to go to add step, perform action, and search for update row. Okay, so now this is what the agent is actually going to do, is update this row. So let me select Outbound Lead AI Agent. Again, we're going to do sheet 1. And what column do we want our agent to look up when updating the sheet? Okay, so I'm going to select website over here, and then we're going to scroll down, and I'm going to leave all of these values as the same, right? So under row values, I'm going to leave everything the same except for LinkedIn URL, right? Because this is what we're asking it to update. Now, could it figure it out on itself? Probably, but I'm going to change this to a prompt AI. So this is me just giving it a little bit of steering. So I'm saying the LinkedIn URL from the previous response. So now remember, the agent is going out, it's searching Google, and it's going to find the LinkedIn URL. Then it's going to pass it to this next step. And I'm basically telling the Google Sheet, hey, I want you to update the LinkedIn URL column with the URL that you got in the previous step. And there's actually one thing that I forgot to do here on the AI agent step, and you can see it's kind of throwing me a message over here, which is we need to tell the AI agent when it can stop working, right? When can it stop researching for LinkedIn? We need to give it a condition, right? So it says, when should Lindy exit this AI agent? And I say exit once you have updated the Google Sheets cell with their LinkedIn profile URL. So every time that you use an agent, you need an exit condition so it stops working. This is just kind of a setting inside of Lindy, but make sure you do that. All right, at this point, we have our agent intaking a message, filling in some information in Google Sheets. Then it's going out, it's getting the LinkedIn URL of the lead. It's going to update our spreadsheet with that. But now we want to email these leads. That's the whole purpose of this agent here. So we want to add a Gmail sender here. So I'm going to add a step over here. I'm going to perform an action, click on Gmail, and then click on send email. Now, obviously, you have to have your Google account hooked up to Lindy. And then once you do, you're going to be given a bunch of settings here in the right-hand side. So again, Lindy offers kind of 3 ways to fill in these fields. And there's auto, which AI is just going to do it by itself. There's prompt AI, where you can steer and offer guidance. And then there's manual. So for the to field, I am going to enter the email address that you receive, just so it doesn't send it to any other email address. And then I'm going to leave these other fields blank right here until we get to the subject. Okay, so this again is where you want to give guidance to the agent, right? It's literally going to be sending an email on your behalf. What do you want the subject to be? So this is where you can prompt the agent to help it with the subject line. So I'm saying a one-sentence subject based on the information you have on the lead. All right, and then the most important part here is going to be the body of the email. Again, you want to give the AI some kind of guidance. And if you were doing this for real, you would definitely prompt this out a lot more. You would provide an example, a full example of an email, and really build out the prompt here so that the results are good. For this video, I'm just saying write a personalized email based on the information you have from the Google Sheet. So we have the person's name, we have their company website, and then I give it just a brief template here, right? Now, again, if you're doing this for real, you would want to spend some time on this and actually make it sound like you and write exactly what you want to say. But you can see this is my template here, and then I have my sign off, and that's good enough to get the agent going. And then finally for the signature, I am going to keep this at manual, but I'm going to remove that sent by Lindy. Now at the end, there is a human in the loop step here. If you want to save this as a draft, then Lindy will just save it in your draft folder so you can go in and review these before sending them off. For the purposes of this demo, I'm going to keep this turned off so that the email actually sends. But now we have our Gmail sender node configured. All right, now that we have our Gmail node, you can see there's two options here, which is after the email is sent or after the reply is received. So for this flow, I am going to use after reply is received, right? So again, the workflow is here. We're sending out a bunch of cold emails. And what do we want to do when someone actually responds to our email? So for this example, we are going to use Slack, okay? We're going to have the AI send a message into our Slack channel. So I'm going to perform an action here and search for Slack. And then I'm going to search for and find here send channel message. Now, obviously, you need to connect to Lindy to Slack. Choose your connection, and you can manually enter your channel. So this is the channel that I'm going to go with over here. And then for the message is really where you want to customize this, right? So what do you want the AI to write into your Slack channel? So you want to go to prompt AI. And for my prompts, I just have let the user know that the prospect has responded, include their email address, and summarize the response, and then I give it an example. Okay, so that's the most important part of this step here is to customize the message with Slack. And then once that step is done, we can move on. All right, so now we're going to get that Slack message inside of Slack, but I also want to send it back to our Google Sheet. So in order to do that, I'm going to add another AI agent to this after message sent. So after it sends the Slack message, I am going to get an agent here just to extract that message so that it can write it into Google Sheets. Okay, so for my agent prompt, it's very simple. Extract the Slack message from the previous step. And then I need to give it that skill or that tool, which is again to update row inside of Google Sheet. So let me select this. All right, so now I've instructed my agent extract the Slack message, and I've given it the skill to update the Google Sheet. All right, now for our last step, we need to add an action to actually go in and update that row. So let me search again for update row. All right, so you're going to choose your spreadsheet. You're going to choose your sheet title as well. And then for the lookup column here, I'm going to use email. And then for the lookup value, I'm going to prompt the AI to look for the email address from the Slack message. Now remember, we're asking the AI in that step to send us the email address as part of the message so that in this step, it can look up the email so it knows which so it knows which row, right? Assuming there's many people in this list, it's going to know that, hey, if this email shows here, then we're going to update column G with this row, okay? So that's what I'm going to put for the lookup column is email, and then the lookup value is the email address from the Slack message. And then the last thing that we need to fill out here in this update row is the actual lead response, right? So it's going to fill out this column for us. So again, I recommend giving a little guidance to the AI. It could probably figure it out on its own, but I'm going to change this to prompt AI, and I'm just going to say the response from the Slack message. And then, I forgot to give the exit condition again to this AI agent. So again, for every AI agent, you do need an exit condition. And so for this condition, I'm just going to paste in here, You can exit, you can stop working once you've extracted the Slack message from the previous step and sent it to the next step. So I always forget that we have to exit the agent on our own, but make sure you do that. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to save. But once you do, we are going to be ready to test this with a new lead. All right, so now we're ready to test our agent. And again, the way that we've set this up, we can just chat with our agent, give it some of the lead info, and it's going to kick off the automation. So the way you do that is you just go into tasks over here, and let me just show that I have my lead list cleared out. We're going to do Brian from Airbnb over here, and I'm going to give my agent some info. New lead, Brian, founder of Airbnb, and I'm going to give him a dummy email address. I'm going to fire that off. And what I love about Lindy is we can see all of the steps that it's taking right inside of the chat. So step by step, we can troubleshoot on the back end if we need to, but you can see it's already appending the row here. So the AI correctly identified the website column, the first name column, last name, email, and the lead info. And you can see it used Google search as one of its tools to go out and find his LinkedIn profile. And it's already populated my spreadsheet with his LinkedIn profile. And now what it's going to do is send me an email, me being Brian, and I can see already in my Gmail, it's in there. So if I pop into my Gmail, and again, this is Brian's Gmail, here is the lead email that our agent has sent. I noticed Airbnb has done XYZ. We specialize in helping marketplace platforms optimize their user experience. You could obviously tweak the prompt here. Would you be open to a quick chat about how we could help enhance Airbnb's marketplace dynamics? So again, obviously you can play around with the prompt, but you can see the email was successfully sent off to Brian. Now remember, the rest of our automation here is what happens when Brian responds, right? That's this part of the automation. So let me come just into my Gmail over here and let me say, hey, Mike, that sounds good. Let's set up a time to discuss best Brian. Okay. So inside of Lindy, and let me go back to the task so we can kind of see this happen in real time. So I'm going to send this email back from Brian to me. And what should happen is that our agent is going to wake up. It's going to read the email. It's going to understand that, hey, I need to send Brian's response into Slack. And then hopefully that message also gets sent into our spreadsheet. Okay, so we can see it working in the background. This is our agent reading the email that I just sent back. We can see it sent a Slack message over here. So let's pop back into Slack, and here it is. So here is Brian, has responded positively and is interested in setting up a time to discuss. So it perfectly encapsulated the email and it sent it right into my Slack channel. Now, the last step, if you remember, is that it's supposed to update this inside of Google Sheets. And here you go. It gave me the exact email. Hey, Mike, sounds good. Let's set up a time to discuss. Now, if we wanted to maybe optimize this step, we could have the AI write a one-sentence summary instead of the full email. But hopefully you can see for a version 1 here, all of this worked incredibly well, right? So just to recap, with this basic outbound agent, we're giving our agent a couple pieces of info like the name, company, and email. It's going to go out, fill in the spreadsheet, search Google for their LinkedIn, send them an email, wait for a response, message us in Slack with the response, and then update our spreadsheet with all of the information so we can keep track of all of the leads in one place. All we have to do is give it the lead info with the chat. You could set that up as a Google Sheet trigger as well. So hopefully you can see the power of Lindy. Again, for AI agents, I do think it's the best platform. If you did enjoy this video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what you want to see in the next video.